Okay, so who here has heard the phrase main character? Like, oh, she's the main character. Okay, thank God. So I was telling my husband about this. He was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm glad that you guys do. But yeah, so I'm here to argue that being the main character is actually something you do not want. I know it's something that is typically sought after and desired, and people, they want to be the main character, but not being the main character in your life is the best thing that could ever happen to you. And hopefully I convince you of that by the end of this talk. And I don't know about you guys, but once I stop and I actually think about it for a second, it's like, I don't even think I want to be the main character. That's so much pressure. I mess things up all the time. I don't even know what I want half the time. It's like if only there was someone who, knew me better than I knew myself and loved me more than I loved myself and wanted my happiness even more than I wanted my happiness and was all powerful. Oh wait. Seems too good to be true, doesn't it? But stepping off center stage of your life and letting God take that role, take center stage, is the best decision you'll ever make. And if any of you guys do that, if you take a back seat and you let the Lord take control and take center stage and you're not living a more joyful, peaceful life, if your relationships aren't healthier, I will pay you all $1 million that I don't have, that I will find. Okay, so hopping into it, does anyone off the top of their head know Jeremiah 29:11? Anyone? Maddie?
Was there another person? I don't want to steal?
No, you.
For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for woe, plans to give you a future full of hope.
Beautiful. So, I'll say that again just so everyone can hear. For I know the plans I have for you, so says the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. And I know these are words that I've heard time and time again, but once I look at them and let them sink in, they're really, really profound. One of my biggest key struggles in my journey with the Lord throughout my life is I think that if I let the Lord in on my dreams and my hopes and my desires, that for some reason those things won't come true. It's like handing control of my life and what I want over to Him and away from me means that these things won't happen. Which is just so silly, because it's like he knows these things already, even if I'm not telling him. And literally the only way that they can be fulfilled is through him and with his help. So I'm going to walk you through my life a little bit and show you my journey with this and hopefully convince you that not being the main character is the best decision you could ever make. So growing up in grade school, I feel like my life was just all about me. It was the grades I made, the sports team that I played on, the clothes that I wore, the friends that I had, and there was so much pressure on myself to be the main character, and honestly it was pretty miserable. It was like the end of the world if I didn't get an A+, or if I didn't score the most points in the basketball game, if I didn't get those UGG boots or the fuzzy North Face. I'm aging myself a little bit, like the fuzzy North Face. You had to have it. Yeah, and how it was like how my coach thought of me, for example, was more important than anything else. Like if I was a minute late to practice, I'd be throwing a fit if my mom got in the car late to take me to practice because I was like, oh, the coach is going to be mad and it's going to be the end of the world. And so caring more about what my coach thought was more important than honoring my mother and father, which is literally a 10 commandment. Anyone know which one of the 10 commandments? 4. Okay, it's a resounding 4. But yeah, it was like the end of the world if things didn't go my way. And it caused me to develop kind of a victim mentality at different points in my life, and I'll get more into that later. But trying to be the main character in your life, at least when I tried to be the main character in my life, it caused me to be selfish, short-sighted, and just dramatic. And yeah, a lot of that was because it turned me inwards towards myself and not outwards towards others. Got to skip through my husband's work notes. Okay, so then when I got to high school, I was the A+ student. Got 1 B+ freshman year English, made was like the star athlete. I think there's, it's just some random pictures. This is me in high school. But yeah, like life was going great. And kind of in a sneaky way, my identity got tied up in what I could do. It got tied up in being the good student and being the good athlete. And it was sneaky because I also loved the Lord. I had a personal prayer relationship with Him. I had daily prayer time. I had great friends. And having your identity and being attached to anything but the Lord can only lead to death and can only lead to despair. So God, in His mercy, decided to pull me back from these things and remind me that my identity is in Him and can only be in Him, and decided to recenter my life. So senior year, I was in a great place. I had great friends. I got into Notre Dame. Was Irish. Was going there with my best friend. It was going to be awesome. It was like April, May, senior year, about to graduate, done with school. Senioritis was going strong. And it was a softball game. It was senior night, and I dove for a ball, and I landed on my knee weird. I was like, oh, that hurt. And I kept playing, and it was just swelling up. So I ended up having a doctor's appointment. The doctor was like, yeah, you probably sprained a ligament. That stinks, but it's not that big of a deal. But let's just schedule an appointment with a surgeon, just in case. So I was like, okay, that stinks. I'm not going to play the rest of the season. That's fine. And then went to the appointment with the surgeon. It's the end of June, June 29th, or June 22nd. Was it? Okay, one of those days. It was June 22nd, actually. Yeah. Which is also the day my son was born. That's why Maddie said, whoa. But June 22nd, and in a matter of literally 30 seconds, my world started crashing down around me when he walked in and was like, yep, not a sprained ligament. You tore your ACL, LCL, only to be on bed rest for a month, and then crutches for at least 3 months, and you'll have therapy every day. So there's really no way you can go to Notre Dame this fall. I was like, wait, what? It felt like my world was just crashing down around me. And the extent to which it was crumbling, and the plans that I made were crumbling, I could tell that I was more the center of my life, and my plans were more the center of my life than God was. Matthew 7:25, I think, maybe, is there a slide? Can someone read this for me? Yes.
And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on rock.
So for me, that would have said, and the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, because it was founded on herself. But really, and I want to clarify that it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel disappointed. Those are human emotions, those are good emotions. But what matters is your next move. It's if you're sad about something, if you didn't make that team, do you just turn inwards, or are you turning to the Lord? Are you offering it to Him, saying, Lord, I'm really bummed about that, I'm really sad. But maybe this is an opportunity that you're opening for me to do something else. What are you going to do in this? I'm going to offer you my hurt. And I recognize that you have a better plan for me, instead of just dwelling in self-pity and making yourself a victim. And the victim mentality is so dangerous, because the whole point of our lives is to make a gift of ourselves to others. And what being a victim does is it draws you inwards. It makes everything about you. Oh, why does that happen to me? Of course that happened to me. That wouldn't happen to her. If I was her, my life would be better. It makes our lives filled with I statements and me statements instead of thinking about others and thinking about the Lord. John 15:13. Anyone know that one? Greater love has no one than this, that one lays down his life for his friends. So when you're turning yourself into a victim, when you're just looking inwards, that's not happening. You're not looking at other people to be able to see how you can help. You're not laying down your life for others, which there's no greater love than that. But the way that I pulled out of this was this spiral of self-pity and just woe is me, was one, through gratitude, through looking at the gifts that the Lord had given me and what I did have instead of what I did not have. So, God, thank you that I still have both legs, that I'll be able to walk one day, that I have a roof over my head, a family that loves me, friends that care for me. Instead of course I'm not going to school, everyone else is going to school, but reframing that to be grateful. 2, service, focusing on other people, and turning myself outwards. I started babysitting for people for free so they could go on date nights. I volunteered at a Bible study to watch kids, and that was one of the best things I could have done, was just focus on other people. And then 3, just accepting my life situation and continuing to dream with the Lord. Okay, Lord, this really stinks. I'm really bummed. But what should we do together in this year? Like, you're providing this opportunity and this space for me. What should we do together? And he opened some super cool doors. Trigger warning on this next slide. There's a picture of a human knee that is not attached to a person.
What?
So if you don't want to see it, close your eyes.
Is it your human knee?
It's not my knee.
Okay.
So I got to do this super cool research with human knees.
It's like in the background.
Elevating my knee with the knee we're doing research on. And I got to go to Mexico City, which is another. Anyone here planning to go to Mexico at FGR? It is the best thing we'll ever do. It really is. And then see these people who, oh my gosh, like I'm throwing a hissy fit because my knees hurt. These people have nothing. They're so joyful and so peaceful and have so much more in so many ways than I had. So this helped me pull out of that spiral of self-pity. But the coolest thing of all of this whole story, is that I went to Notre Dame and I was in a different, when I went the next year, because I did go the next year, I was in a different dorm than I would have been. And I made friends in that dorm, this group of girls who were friends with a group of guys in the dorm right next to us. And I met this super cool guy named Andrew, who, I think there's a picture on the next slide, maybe. We went to a dance together my freshman year, and then shortly after graduation, next picture, we ended up getting married. You guys, none of that would have happened if God in His mercy had not literally injured my leg and reminded me that my life was not about myself, that my plans were not the best plans, that His plans were better than mine, that He's the center of my life. I would not have met my husband. And then next slide, 10 months after we got married, we had this sweet little baby. Okay, next slide. Now is this really cute 7-month-old. So let this alone be inspiration to let the Lord be the center of your life. Let Him be your main character. But He's blessed me more than I could have even imagined. These are my dreams and my desires that I had, and they could not have been reached if He hadn't knocked me down a peg in His mercy. Once I made it to Notre Dame, even though I had a lot of growth and had a lot of practice keeping the Lord at the center of my life, it's still a fight. It's something you have to wake up and do every day. It's not a one-time decision. It's easy to get lost in what others are doing. And when it came time to choose what to study, I was kind of at a loss, because growing up, I had a lot of things that I wanted to do, but I didn't really know what I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to have babies. At one point in time, I was really passionate about being a zookeeper. It's true. I almost shadowed a zookeeper. I could be living a very different life than I am now. But I wasn't sure. But I knew I had a lot of people externally telling me what I would be good at. I had coaches literally pull me aside when practice and say, Emma, we think you'd be a really good doctor. You need to be a doctor. And different people in my life had told me that. You'd be really good at this. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go with that. And at Notre Dame, there was a pre-med track, and there wasn't a nursing track, there wasn't anything else in the medical field. And I did have this desire for medicine and this love for the human body that I knew was from the Lord. But instead of kind of dreaming with Him about this, I went with what people were telling me I would be good at. and what I knew I would be good at, what was comfortable, what was easy to do. But my junior and my senior year, I even went so far as to take the MCAT and interview for med schools. I started feeling this tension inside of me, and I had to sit and really pray with some hard questions. Was I planning to become a doctor because I could, because like it was something I could do, or is it because the Lord created my heart and gave me specific gifts and talents that He wanted me to use in this way? Because just because you can and you are able to do something does not mean you should. Just because you can take that AP class doesn't mean you should. Just because you could go to Harvard doesn't mean you should. Just because you could play that spring sport does not mean you should. It's important to ask those questions. Is this something that God wants? Is it something that I even want? And I knew the Lord had created my heart in a way that my deepest desires, the way He created my heart, didn't necessarily align with me becoming a doctor and all the school that entailed. I had this guy that I was about to get engaged to and like hopes of starting a family together. And honestly, it would have been easier for me just to stay in the med school track because there would have been harder conversations that I had to have if I changed. And I'd have to change my whole class schedule. So it was tricky. But one thing about having yourself as the center of your life, even if God is mainly in the center, if you're even a little bit in the center, things go awry, is it causes you to be short-sighted. So take choosing college, for example. You could want to go to a college just because all of your friends are going there, or because it's a fun school and it's a party school. And if you're so immersed in your own world and what's comfortable and what would be easiest to do, this could seem like an obvious decision. But you would be doing a massive disservice to yourself because you could be missing out on the grandest adventure that the Lord has for you. And my friend Ricky, he's a seminarian at Notre Dame. We were on the RCIA team together, and he has a great example I'd like to share with you guys called foot pizza. So say there's this person who's from outer space who comes to Earth, never heard of pizza before. And there's this person who was walking holding a pizza box, and the pizza fell, and this person from outer space is walking and steps on the pizza. And his feet had been super cold, but now that he stepped on this warm pizza out of the oven, he's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing, I love pizza! And the person's like, well, you should try eating that pizza. He's like, why would I eat the pizza? It's warming up my feet, this is great, I love pizza. But this guy's totally missing out on the point of pizza and like all of its joys and glory. He's just using it to warm his feet. And this ties into the next thing. Does someone want to read this quote? Please, yeah.
It would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong, but too weak.
Foot pizza.
We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and admission, when infinite joy is offered to us. Like an ignorant child who wants to go on baking pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea, we are far too easily pleased. See, I see this.
It's one of my favorite quotes. So having God as the main character allows you to dream. It allows you to have great desires. There are no desires too big for the Lord. He gave you great desires, and not just like, I have a desire for Chipotle or a great desire for cheese, but those deep ones that are really deep. Really? That are really deep down, that are maybe a little scary, that we're worried that they might not come true, that how much we want them intimidates us. I want to take a moment, just close your eyes just for a second, and think about one of your biggest dreams or desires, something that might seem unattainable, and take a moment to tell the Lord about it and just share it with Him and place it in His hands. He gave these to you, so don't be afraid to share them with Him. can open your eyes. As I said, I had and still have this fear that letting the Lord in on my desires, on my deepest wishes, letting Him be the center of my life means that these things won't happen. It's like I have this idea that He's going to come in, take center stage, and then crush all my hopes and dreams, which is just not the good Lord, not the good God that we have. Next slide. Someone want to read this for me? Matthew 7:11. There.
If you then who are evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask Him? Matthew 7:11.
We have a good Father who wants to give us good things, and will give us better things than we could even imagine. I thought going to Notre Dame, right when I graduated high school, is what was best for me, and He had far greater plans. And I have Andrew and little Louie that came out of that. So thank God I was knocked off center stage. Next slide. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Once we have a dream and a desire that's been fulfilled, God should remain the center stage of our life. We might think we're at, a good place. If we're at FGR, if we're at wherever we're at in high school, if we made the team, if we have good friends, if we got the hat we wanted for Christmas, if we got into the school we wanted, we might think we're doing fine and might slip into, grasping a little control of our lives and being that main character, but we still need Him, and He still knows best. With Andrew and Louie, my husband and my son are not the center of my life. If they were, we'd be in a lot of trouble. God still needs to be the center no matter what. So practically, how do we do this? I have a couple thoughts. One, what is the first thought of our day, right when we wake up? Is it to roll over and grab our phone to see how many Instagram likes we have, if that cute boy texted me back? Or do we set our minds immediately on Him? Do we just make a little morning offering? Every morning when I wake up, I'll take Louie into our bed and we'll just make a little morning offering, and we'll set an intention for the day, something to offer all of our struggles, all of our annoyances, any irritations, anything that goes wrong. We'll pick a friend or a family member or someone who just comes to mind, and we'll set an intention for the day, and it doesn't take a long time. Proverbs 3:9 says, honor the Lord with your substance and with the first fruits of all your produce. So one way I practically live this out, the first fruits of all my produce, the first moments of my day. So I could not recommend that highly enough. Just right when you wake up, just say, thank you, Jesus, for this night of sleep, and help me to love you and glorify you in everything I do today. Something simple. Doesn't need to be much, but it can change your entire day and just centers Him. 2, examine our thought patterns. What takes up the majority of our thoughts? Are they things like, what do I want? What would make me look good? What's the easiest route? Ugh, why'd that happen to me? Man, bad things always happen to me. If I was her, my life would be easier. All these I and me statements, we need to reframe these to what the Lord wants, what the Lord has in store for us. Lord, what do you want? I didn't make that team. I'm really bummed about it, but I know that you want my good. You're a good Father who gives good gifts. So what are the gifts going to be? Do you want me to spend more time with my grandma who's really sick? Start an Etsy shop? Whatever it is, just dream with Him. Does anyone here have an Etsy shop? Oh, really? Okay, it's something from the past. I was just informed. Okay, there's still a thing. Everyone look up Grace Rainey's Etsy shop. Okay. And then 3, when we have a dream or a desire, a movement of our hearts, bring it before the Lord. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't, if something comes into your head, oh man, maybe I really love teaching. Maybe I could be a teacher. Don't just be whatever. Don't, try to grasp onto that and control it for yourself. Just offer that to the Lord. Hey, this thought came into my head. If you want to do something with it, here it is. I offer it to you. And then 4, the choices we make, what we listen to, books we read, TV shows we watch, movies we watch, friends we make. Nothing is neutral. Something is either bringing us closer to the Lord or it's bringing us away. I can fall into that habit of it's really not that bad. It's fine. It's not necessarily bringing me closer to the Lord. But if it's not bringing you closer to the Lord, it's bringing you farther away from the Lord. So I want to challenge you guys with that. And then 5, prayer and spending time with God daily. You'll just fall in love with him more the more time you spend with him, and you'll want him to be everything. That one really is the most key factor. Who here knows what the first commandment is? I'm sure all of you know what the first commandment is. Someone want to share it? Anyone? Yeah.
I'm the Lord your God, you shall not have other gods beside me.
Yes, I am the Lord your God. You should not have any other gods beside me. Do not make yourself God. Do not make your friends God. Do not make your teachers God. Do not make your coaches God. Do not make your family members God. Don't make other people's opinions an idol. God is God. No one else. Debbie is not God. And your life will be so much better with God as the main character. Guys, we literally have the ultimate hack. Like, if anything goes wrong in our lives, if anything goes awry, we can rest easy because we don't have to control everything. We don't have to be the main character. We can trust that there's this God who knows infinitely better than we do, who wants our good more than we want our good, who is in control of anything and can turn any circumstance into something beautiful. So remember that God desires your happiness even more than you do. Don't be afraid to make him everything, to give him everything. And you'll experience more peace and joy than you could ever imagine. That's a promise. And I just want to close with this quote. It's another C.S. Lewis quote. It kind of encompasses everything. It is not so much of our time and so much of our attention that God demands. It is not even all our time and all our attention. It is ourselves. For each of us, the Baptist words are true. He must increase and I must decrease. He will be infinitely merciful to our repeated failures. I know no promise that he will accept a deliberate compromise. For he has, in the last resort, nothing to give us but himself, and he can give that only insofar as our self-affirming will retires and makes room for him in our souls. Let us make up our minds to it. There will be nothing of our own left over to live on. No ordinary life. I do not mean that each of us will necessarily be called to be a martyr or even an ascetic. That's as may be. For some, nobody knows which, the Christian life will include much leisure, many occupations we naturally like, but these will be received from God's hands. In a perfect Christian, they would be as much part of his religion, his service, as his hardest duties, and his feasts would be as Christian as his fasts. What cannot be admitted, what must exist only as an undefeated but daily resisted enemy, is the idea of something that is our own, some area in which we are to be out of school, on which God has no claim. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes. So
Can we see the picture of Lily again?
Yeah, great.
Just go ahead,
Pictures of Lily silently.